All right, everyone, and we are back with another episode of the Baseline Bums podcast. It is your host, Rob, a.k.a. B-Ball Archives, and once again, I am with my boy, AJ, and we got a lot of really, really great topics today. We're going to be talking about the most surprising team so far. The NBA season is underway, and there's a lot of teams that are underperforming, overperforming.
Oh, yeah. It's one of the most interesting starts to NBA that I can remember in recent history.
Absolutely. It's pretty wild. Yeah, and then we're going to segue into Spurs. Obviously, we're going to have to talk about the Spurs and what's going right with us, but also what's going wrong a little bit. There's some drama that's currently in San Antonio, so we're going to discuss that. And then we're going to dive into a new segment called Washed, which we're going to talk about players and are they washed or not. And two guys that are currently on the table right now are Russell Westbrook and Ben Simmons.
And they're currently bathing together.
They're currently just lathering right now. Yeah, but is that even fair? For us to talk about. So we're gonna dive in. We're gonna dive in
Head first.
Yeah, absolutely. But first things first, and we want to give a shout out to our sponsor, Turning Point Brewery. We have a delicious beer in front of us right now, sponsored or inspired by the show Rick and Morty. It's called You Son of a Bitch, I'm In.
It is a double dry hop IPA. It's very, very, very tasty. Be careful when drinking. They can kind of bite you in the ass when you're not paying attention.
Oh, yeah.
So, and also Turning Point for all their news, events, things of that nature. Follow them on social media, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Also, they're going to be having a New Year's Eve party on December 31st. $50 a person, but you get all the beer, and there's going to be a DJ, appetizers, all that good stuff. So,
Dang.
I might be there.
Yeah, dude.
So
that sounds like fun.
should be a good time. But thank you, Turning Point. Thanks, JP, for all your sponsor and your help. And yeah, we definitely appreciate the beer. So, with that being said, let's get into this.
Yes, let's do it. So, most surprising teams thus far. I'm just gonna go ahead and get it started.
Do it.
I think the Jazz.
I said the same thing.
Right. I mean, we're all thinking it. Like, the Jazz are playing so well right now. They're moving the ball, distributing it so well. They're third in the league in assists per game. They look like they are absolutely liberated and playing with total freedom.
Absolutely.
And so whenever I look at that, it looks like a team that's actually built to do well. How are you feeling about that?
Same. I mean, it's kind of crazy to think that Kelly Olynyk is like a legit piece to that puzzle. It's kind of like same thing with San Antonio, because I also have San Antonio as my surprising team as well. You lose your top players, you kind of lose that payroll. You no longer have to feed that person every single play or make sure that they're involved or make sure you don't hurt their feelings for whatever reason. And now you give those players the autonomy just to go out and play. And you're seeing it with the Jazz. You're seeing it with the Spurs. Spurs are moving the ball. They're averaging 30 assists per game, which is insane to think about.
They're leading the league.
They're leading the league. It kind of spreads the floor now because now you have people who are shooters. And also, I also kind of put a little caveat around this as well, where teams are going to Utah or they're going to San Antonio and they might be taking a night off. They might be, we'll beat them just if we just show up. And they're hitting people in the mouths, and they're the other teams are not expecting it. So,
yeah,
I'm curious to see kind of what happens moving forward. I think we'll know more come December, January, February on where these teams stand, if they're legit playoff contenders or they're just hot because no one's done any kind of prep for them or scouting.
Right. Absolutely. I mean, it's still so early in the season.
Yeah.
We're still just a few games in. So whether or not these teams are going to be viable teams, you hit the nail on the head. We won't know until later on in the year. But one of the things that I think is very interesting, and you brought up the Spurs, we are playing so well. We are a group of role players that are used to playing with each other. Keldon and Keldon, Vassell, they have been existing in that unit for so long, and then now when you give them the keys, this is what it looks like.
Absolutely.
And I think, not to just really hate on DeJounte too much, but it looks like he was an offensive black hole.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's becoming pretty evident.
Well, I mean, that happens to a lot of star players because they're so good, and you have to feed them the ball. They're getting paid all the money, but I mean, you look at Trey Jones and Jakob Poeltl's pick and roll, like it's almost unstoppable. Like it's literally almost unstoppable. Trey Jones looks like a legit point guard in the NBA. Jakob Poeltl looks like he's gonna become a double machine right now. And you put Devin Vassell out on the wing, knocking down 3-pointers the way he's been knocking down 3-pointers. Zach Collins has a career resurgence now. I mean, you just go down the list and everyone they know their role and they're playing well. And it reminds me of whenever we were, what was it, like 2013, 2014, somewhere around that range, when the Most Beautiful Game video came out.
Yeah.
That's what it looks like. It looks like we're sharing the ball, we're pushing the pace. Doug McDermott's is knocking down 3-pointers like he's back in college. Like it's so surprising. It's also refreshing to see that if we do end up getting a high draft pick, which I still hope we do.
Yeah.
That whoever it is can come in and fit into that system where we need, and we still have the confidence, or at least the young guys have the confidence to be contributors. And some of these players are going to get a little more playing time now.
Yeah. I mean, that's a really good point. I think you brought up a really key aspect. Like, how will these guys play if we get that big time superstar that comes to our team via the draft? Like, let's say like Victor Wembanyama falls to us. Like, are the guys going to be able to play around him very well? Because as much as I love Keldon Johnson and Devin Vassell, Jakob Poeltl, these are not guys that are going to lead your team to a championship. No. They are really great pieces around that leader, but we still definitely need a leader.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
but it's good. It's good to see some of the young guys embrace the Spurs culture, like Keldon. It's been really cool to see Keldon like step up as a leader. And even DeMar talked about in some interviews how whenever he was with the Spurs, obviously we weren't really relevant when he was there, but the fact that he was able to learn how to be a leader, which I think makes him such a great puzzle piece for the Bulls and leading that team. So, it definitely have the Spurs. I think another couple teams that surprised me, the Cavs. Cavs look really good right now.
Yeah.
They've lost a few games, but they're a legit team. Like, you can't tell me otherwise. And then I think the Pelicans, if they can gel together, that team's going to be good.
Absolutely. The Pelicans look really good. I think health is such an important piece when we're looking at the Pelicans, and a couple of players that I was really excited about, like Herb Jones. Whenever I look at his defense and how he's able to, oh my gosh, whenever they played Brooklyn and he blocked Kevin Durant shooting a 3, I was like, I don't know if I've ever seen KD just straight up blocked, denied while shooting a 3. I mean, it's so rare.
I mean, I'm sure it's happened.
Yeah.
But he's 7 feet tall, jumping.
Yeah.
And you blocked his shot. It's not like a weird stroke or anything. Like, his ball's where it needs to be above his head. And yeah, that was impressive.
Yeah.
That was very impressive.
Herb Jones is that guy.
Yeah. And then Zion looks, he's leaner, he's thinner, he looks bouncy.
Yeah.
CJ McCollum comes in, brings that leadership. And then you still have
Brandon Ingram.
Oh, Jesus Christ, I forgot about Brandon Ingram.
Yeah, Brandon Ingram. And then Valanciunas.
Yeah. I mean,
they have a good team.
So just the pieces are there, and their coach is legit too. So
yeah,
it's just a matter of time. Then some other teams.
Yeah, one of the other teams I am excited about, and I feel like is really surprising right now, is the Blazers.
Yeah,
the Blazers are playing such good basketball. I know Dame is going to be out for the next, I think, week and a half with a little injury. I can't remember exactly what injury it is, but he was playing MVP level basketball.
Oh yeah,
and whenever I look at his ability to just close out late game situations, and now he's able to defer to guys like Anthony Simons. He was passing to him in late game situations. I haven't seen Dame do that. I mean, the last time he did that was with LaMarcus Aldridge, only because it was early on in his career. Right. And to see Dame do that, I mean, he did it some with CJ McCollum, but mainly, mainly it was him.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And so to me, it really screams that, all right, Anthony Simons is that guy if they can stay together in Portland and build around guys like Jeremy Grant and Nurkic.
I like Jeremy Grant a lot.
Yeah. For him to be like a third guy along with like Nurkic being the fourth, a couple of other young up and comers like Nazir Little, I think that they have a good squad there.
Yeah, I really think that, especially with Nurkic, you see them play overseas, and you see them be like key pieces to these country tournaments and things like that. Like was it Euro League or something like that, where everyone went to go play. That's European. They come back to the NBA and they have this new confidence about them because they were the leaders of those teams, and they come in and they kind of understand more where they play and how they play in the system, and also what they need in order to motivate your teammates that may not have been there last year or the year before. And one thing, I don't know if you've seen this yet, but there's a hot trade rumor with Damian Lillard going to the Lakers. I can't remember the whole trade, but it's like Damian Lillard gets traded to the Lakers for like all their picks and Westbrook, which I don't think is going to happen. I really don't see Westbrook being traded or anything. That's $47 million.
Yeah.
Like what team can afford that? And then also, I've never seen a player have a salary of that magnitude and average 8% from 3-point land. Like the Lakers are also a very surprising team.
Yeah.
Because they're not good. Like when Lonnie Walker's putting up more shots or the most shots on your team, you got problems.
You're in trouble.
You got problems.
Well, the Lakers have so many issues, and I guess that is one of the most surprising teams thus far as well. I mean, we all expected them to be bad, but this bad? Mm-hmm. They look horrendous.
They look really like they can't shoot 3-pointers. They don't play together. Like it's just you see their body language is all over the court. I mean, you see LeBron James like
it's nasty to watch. I mean, I don't think there's any one individual problem. I think there's obviously Westbrook is playing horrible. He's shooting horrible. They need to space the floor. He's not able to do that. So if you're not a part of the solution, you're a part of the problem. Yeah. But it's also Darvin Ham not being able to wrangle in these big personalities.
It's hard.
He's just a new coach.
Yeah.
And it's not the fact that he doesn't know basketball. It's just the fact that he's got a lot of big name personalities. Yeah. And he hasn't had to do that. And I also think you have Rob Pelinka who's been shitting the bed for a while and no one wants to talk about it because LeBron is essentially using him as a puppet.
Well, the thing was, I mean, you're absolutely right. And then also like that 2020 championship, like, I don't know if they would have won if the bubble didn't happen. Like, the bubble was fun to watch because, in my opinion, that was very pure basketball. You didn't have the crowd. You didn't have any motivation outside yourself. So we saw very pure basketball, and I enjoyed that. Obviously, I love having the crowd now, having, the mascots come in during timeouts. That's great.
Yeah.
But that 2020 championship is going to be like, it was great at the time for the Lakers, but it's also going to be their detriment too, because we're not too far removed. We're like, 2-3 years?
Yeah.
This season would be 3 years from the championship. You still have AD, you still have LeBron, but, and people go, well, they won it, in 2020. It's such a completely different team.
Yeah.
It's such a complete different team. And I mean, Austin Reeves might be the best part of that Laker dumpster fire. I mean, outside of that, that team is not going nowhere fast.
Yeah, and there's really no solution in sight unless they make a big trade, like you were talking about, for like a guy like Lillard, some guy wwho can bring in leadership from the guard position and shoot and be clutch right from the start. You know,
but who's going to want to help the Lakers?
No one.
Like no one wants to help the Lakers. They've always been Showtime and we're better than you. Blah blah blah. I don't know if trading Westbrook's going to be the solution, because then you lose your entire future. They don't have draft picks. Like next year, people are like, oh, they're tanking for Wemby, and it's like they don't have a first round pick, so they can't. They can never get him.
Well, the Pelicans would get him.
That would be insane.
Because their draft pick, their unprotected draft pick, would go to the Pelicans. So if they win it, dude,
that would be nuts.
Yeah,
oh my God.
No, that would be bad.
But and also, I mean, AD looks like he's hurt every other play.
Yeah,
he's coming down. You're like, oh, his just ailments all the time. And when you have someone that fragile getting paid that much money, I mean, the Lakers are just a huge dumpster fire. And then on the other side of the U.S., we got the Nets. I don't think they're a dumpster fire. I just think they need to figure out what Ben Simmons is going to do.
Yeah,
because you can't be airballing layups.
That's very true. Yeah, like he doesn't look confident at all.
Mm-hmm.
No one's. I mean, outside of Westbrook, he is one of the most uncontested players, in the league. Yeah. People are just not even stepping out on him.
Oh,
and so, to see him, like you were saying, airball a layup, it really just screams confidence, because it's not like he can't do athletic things, get to the rim, but like his rebounding numbers are down. Like like everything about his game is just dipping at a time when he should be kind of getting into his prime a little bit.
He looks like he hasn't played basketball in a year and a half.
Right.
That's what it looks. I hope he figures it out. I hope come February, we're talking about, oh yeah, he knows his role. He's a 10-8 guy, nothing more. He's not playing in the fourth quarter. That kind of thing. Yeah. But he's a great piece to that puzzle. I hope we're talking about that, but we'll kind of see.
Yeah. I mean, ultimately, all of these teams are very surprising, whether they're surprising in a good way or surprising in a bad way. There's just a lot of interesting narratives to kind of follow this season so far. Absolutely. But yeah, we're going to go ahead and segue into our next topic, and we touched on it a little bit, but we're going to dive into some other elements of it. The Spurs. What is going right with us right now? We're playing good basketball. Obviously, we're sharing the ball. We're distributing it at very, very high rate, like we were saying earlier, first in assists per game in the entire league. But in your opinion, what is the number one reason why we're seeing success?
I still think it's Pop. I think it's Pop's able to implement his offense the way he wants it, and these guys have been under this system for quite some time. Whether when they got drafted, they went to the Austin Spurs, or they were just playing the entire time. So now, like kind of what you said earlier, you're seeing just them reap the rewards of the slow progress, and it's now your time. Here are the keys. Mm-hmm. So I really do think it's Pop being able to coach. I also think, was it Bruce Brown?
Yeah.
I think he's been a huge part of this whole thing too.
Yeah.
I think having him come in and be an assistant coach after he's had moderately successful head coaching, gigs, I think that, speaks volumes. I think just Kendall Johnson coming in and being the guy that we always thought he would be, and making threes, making jumpers, driving to the lane, finishing at the rack, getting those and one free throws, things of that nature. I think that's been a huge part of it too. And then also Jakob. I think Jakob's been Kendall and Jakob both look right now at this point like all-stars.
Yeah.
They like Jakob's like averaging, I think, a double right now. He's
great.
He looks amazing. You have guys like Devin Vassell stepping up. We all knew he could shoot, but I mean, he's definitely taken that extra step this year.
Yeah.
And then you incorporate Sohan. Sohan's impressed me a lot. I was not expecting him to be good.
Yeah.
I mean, I knew he was gonna be good, but like come in and contribute this early.
Yeah.
I mean, man,
he doesn't look bad at all.
He doesn't look bad. He really doesn't.
Yeah, and I think all the things that are wrong about his game are things that he can improve fairly easily.
Yeah,
like
for sure.
like just like the timing of his shot, like his release, things like that. If he gets it a little quicker, a little faster, gets a shot off a little bit easier.
He needs to refine his entire shot though.
Yeah,
it's not pretty.
No, it doesn't look pretty. But honestly, shots can be ugly as long as you can be quick with it.
Yeah,
and get it off and not get blocked.
Sean Marion.
Yes, exactly. So I'm okay with his ugly form as long as we can get it in the basket and quicker.
And it helps that guys don't really know him yet.
Yeah.
And so they're giving him that shot.
Oh yeah.
Every time.
Yeah. That's very true. He's a bit of an unknown, so he's kind of coming in and I don't want to say overperforming, but being unknown, you're a mystery on the scouting report.
For sure. And right now, I mean, if you're betting against the spread for the Spurs, they're crushing the bettings right now. If you're betting on the Spurs, you're making money. What do you think? What do you think's been different? What's been good about the Spurs?
There's been a lot of really good things about the Spurs. I mean, it's tough to just narrow in on one thing in particular, but I would say I'm going to go ahead and just say somebody we haven't talked about is the play of Trey Jones.
Oh yeah,
I think it's the way he's been efficient and the way he's just limited errors. Like I think that's such a huge part of being a point guard is just limiting the mistakes out on the court.
Yep.
And if you can do that, then you're going to put your team in chances to be successful. And I think that's what we're seeing. And, the fact that we have role players slightly overachieving because, dang, we know how to play together. And you have an efficient point guard, a lot of really interesting pieces. And, other teams just aren't as fluid as we are at this point.
No, I mean, I think it was the first Minnesota game. By the way, we need to stop playing Minnesota. This is getting annoying.
Right.
I think the first Minnesota game, Trey Jones and Jakob were just abusing the pick and roll. Like, it wasn't even close. He was like, all right, well, let's step up on Trey, and then you drop it down, and Jakob's finishing at the rack. Or it's like, all right, let's give Trey some space. Let's make sure we don't get beat. And he's hitting jumpers like Tony Parker.
Yeah.
I mean, it was impressive to watch, and they've been they all just really mesh well together. So more team dinners, in my opinion.
Exactly. It's like, we're seeing the team bonding and to give you credit to your point earlier, it's a lot of it's got to be pop.
Has to be pop.
Yeah, so much of it has got to be pop because what other coach out there knows how to get the most of the least? Now, I'm not saying like our players are untalented,
right.
But I'm just saying he has us playing as well as a lot of teams that we were viewing as top 2, 3, 4 teams in the West, and it's exciting to watch.
Yeah, I think as of right now we are 4th in the West at 4-2.
Yeah,
with a game behind. Obviously, it's still very early.
Yeah,
but I mean we're split with Minnesota right now. We beat the Bulls. Well, I mean, we've beaten decent teams that should be we're up by 30 against the T-Wolves.
Exactly.
Like, I mean, that's insane.
I would say our only really bad loss was that first game where we lost by 27 to Charlotte.
Yeah.
And I think that was, that was the first game of the season, it is what it is.
And we were really excited. We're like, yeah.
That's very true. We're always excited. But you son of a bitch, I'm in. I'm gonna crack open.
We're gonna need it for this next part.
Absolutely. We're getting into our next segment called Washed, and we have 2 people on the docket today. We're going to be talking Russell Westbrook and Ben Simmons. Not saying that these players are washed, but a lot of people have been bringing their names up into the conversation, essentially saying that, hey, these guys, they are underperforming and we need to talk about it. So, So Westbrook, do you feel Westbrook is washed?
That's a really hard question. Part of me says, yeah, he might be washed, but part of me says he's also unhappy. Not part of me. A lot of me says he's unhappy. And we've seen in the past when he gets grumpy and mad, he kind of just becomes a shell of himself. With Westbrook, we were always very, what's the word I'm looking for? We were always very in awe of his talent, of his athleticism, the way he's able to, get the ball on one side, run 90 feet, dunk it on the other side in a matter of like 2 seconds.
Yeah.
We were all very impressed with that. The one thing that his biggest knock, especially in the beginning of his career, was he's one-dimensional. He's very one-dimensional. He's athletic, but that's kind of it. Like, he can shoot, kind of, but not efficiently. But he's so damn athletic that it really doesn't matter. I think it's starting to creep up on him now. I think he's so athletic, but in the NBA or any professional sports, at some point they're going to figure you out, or Father Time's going to come and take that away from you. So you can have a lengthy career, but if you look at those lengthy careers, the depth of their talent is so deep because they figured out what new ways to make the longevity of the career meaningful.
Yeah.
Where Westbrook, he has stone hands now. Like, he's turning over the ball like you wouldn't believe. He steps out probably every game.
Yeah.
He has at least one time he gets the ball in the corner and he steps out. And it's like, what are you doing? So I don't know if the wash is the right word. I think unhappy is more along the lines for me. I don't know what happens after this year, though. When his contract's up, I don't know if he finds a new home, if he can take a pay cut. Because, I mean, if you're shooting 8% from 3-point land and you're averaging 10 points a game or whatever with four turnovers, there's not a lot out there for you.
Yeah.
So I have a bad feeling it's gonna be the new Iverson.
Yeah,
what do you think?
That's a good comparison. Sometimes we watch superstars age like fine wine, and sometimes we watch them age like milk.
Yep.
And I'm not saying he's milk, but at the end of the day, I have to think that he's more washed than not washed.
Yeah.
Because to give you credit for the point, like, you have to change your game. Mm-hmm. You have to adapt. I would have loved to see Russell Westbrook really focus on his shooting year 5, 6, 7 after he got money, after he was established in the league and knew, hey, I'm going to be around here for 15 years plus. And so you really need to see a superstar guy like that really interested in expanding their arsenal of moves. And it seemed like he was very, very content with, hey, I'm going to dominate with my athleticism.
Yep.
And as long as I'm getting a triple-double and I'm on a winning team, that's cool. I mean, I don't think he was necessarily always hell-bent on winning championships.
No.
But at the end of the day, I think he did want to win. He was a competitor. He is a competitor. But at the same time, I have to think he's a little bit more washed because of his mentality, too.
Like, I totally get that. Also, I mean, you've been on, 3-4 teams in the past 4 years or something like that, 4 or 5 years. It hits your confidence for sure. You're like, no one wants me, but you have this fat contract, so they have to pay you.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I would cry 47 million tears as well.
Yeah.
But
well, I mean, you really felt that when he was in the press conference and he said, like, he goes, it's a job like anybody else's job. So many other people go to work and they don't like their coworkers. Their coworkers don't like them, and they still have to get job done. And he sounded so real about it, but also a little bitter.
Oh, for sure. It's what we've seen in the past too. I mean, like, I know this podcast likes to talk about LeBron James a lot, so let's continue to do so. It's hard to play with LeBron James. It's really hard. Like, he's so good and so great at what he's done, and he has like all the credentials and accolades to back it up. It's so hard to play with him. Just being on the same court as him is hard if you're on the same team, because obviously he's going to be the captain and he's going to be the one steering the ship. And so with Westbrook, he's never really had. I mean, he's had KD, but it was an early KD. KD and LeBron play very differently. Yeah. So now you have someone like LeBron James who's used to bringing up the ball, being involved in the offense, things of that nature. Whereas that's Russ's job. Yeah. And as much as you want to say, go do your thing, you can't really just go do your thing with LeBron and AD on the court. And it's interesting to see Lonnie Walker put up more shots than them because, like, he's super athletic, just like Westbrook, but he's not a shooter.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's got to fill the void. I mean,
that's that too.
well, and that is another thing that I also was mentioning earlier with the Lakers. I think kind of Darvin Ham needs to be addressing is they're taking too many threes.
Oh yeah.
If your skill set is not built around 3-point shooting, why take so many?
Yeah.
You should be taking 15, 20 at most.
Another point I want to make is Westbrook's never been in a market like this too, where, I mean, you have how many people are in LA or in the LA area, like 15 million people or some crazy shit like that. So he's not used to all this attention too.
Yeah.
I mean, you've been at OKC, you've been at Houston, you've been in DC. DC and Houston are decently sized markets. OKC's tiny. And if you're not used to the press and all like the microscope and the magnifying glass on you at all times, it can get to you. And I think it's starting to get to him, especially because he's kind of the scapegoat at this point in time.
Yeah.
Even though he didn't play the other day and they still lost. So
Yeah.
I don't know. It sucks to see. And I don't know where he ends up after this year. Some team's going to have to take a chance on him, and some team's going to have to tell him, like, sorry, like, you're coming off the bench, or we're only going to pay you, $6 million a year. Like, so, I don't know what's going to happen. But again, in 2020, with that championship, Westbrook was also averaging a triple-double. And triple-doubles in this day and age, in my humble opinion, are kind of empty calories.
Yeah.
So
they need context.
Yeah,
like
for sure.
They need to be during wins. Like if your triple doubles are, and you're producing those while you're winning, taking your team to the playoffs, going deep postseason runs, then those are good triple doubles. But if your team's winning 35, 40 games and you're averaging a triple double, then maybe you need to just kind of analyze, hey, am I the leader that's making this team the best it can be, or am I just trying to put up stats?
Yeah, I mean, he's still a great competitor. It's still fun to watch him play whenever he's not turning the ball over and stuff, but it's hard. It's really hard to watch the Lakers right now.
Yeah.
As a whole.
Yeah.
And they're always on TV, so we get to watch a lot of them.
Yeah. Everyone wants to watch the drama in LA.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so I mean, pretty damn washed.
Rub-a-dub-dub.
Yeah, rub-a-dub-dub, use a damn scrub. No. I'm sorry. That's we'll put that on TikTok though. No, I'm just playing. That's disrespectful to Russell Westbrook. He's not a complete scrub. He's being asked to play off ball and he can't play off ball.
Yeah, he's just lost right now. That's all it is. He's just lost.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, we'll move on to our next person that's in the scrub-a-dub-tub. Ben Simmons. I'm just going to go ahead and start off by saying I don't think Ben Simmons is washed. I think Ben Simmons still has so much left in the tank. I think, and to give credit to you earlier,
I like this credit thing. Keep giving,
dude.
him. I mean, get a lot of credit,
dude. Absolutely. I mean, I think you should. He looks like a player that's just missed a lot of time. He looks like a player that's just a little confused out there, but I also feel like that is explaining like maybe why he's not rebounding as much, why his defensive numbers are a little bit down, but there's still so many things like his free throw blunders, him airballing layups. I think so many of these things are part of his mental problems, and I don't know how those are overcame. I don't know how that hill gets.
He needs to do what Space Jam, the first Space Jam did when Charles Barkley went to the park and he was like, "Can I play?" Yeah. Like I really think like Ben Simmons just needs to go play. Like just go play with like high schoolers or something. Like just go play, and like you're still dominant. He doesn't have a terrible shot. Like it's not an ugly form by any means, but I mean he's just not confident. I think. It's not great.
I mean, it's not horrible, but like it doesn't inspire confidence.
No, but and it could be a lot of it is definitely Ben Simmons coming back from a long break, trying to get used to the speed of the NBA, but also when you're playing with Kyrie and KD, like like he definitely needs to step up and average at least 15, 18 points a game.
Yeah.
Because they're going to average 25 plus, and they're going to need him to step up in order to win games.
Yeah.
For sure. I think also another thing, I think Ben Simmons should figure out a way to play on the Australian national team again. I think he took this year off, if I'm not mistaken, or something like that. I think he should have played.
Yeah.
Because going back to my point earlier, I think going out there and playing with your Patty Mills and Aaron Baines and those guys, and like, you know, seeing a team, and like, also it's in Australia too. So we'll get the highlights, but you know, we're like, the media is not going to be a frenzy like it is in Brooklyn.
Right.
So, you know, I think the Ben Simmons mentality is it's completely shot. Like, he has zero confidence. He needs to go see a psychiatrist, or he needs to go figure out what he needs to do, because very quickly I can see him ending up in Australia in the NBL. Like, it's possible.
Yeah.
I hope it doesn't. I really hope it doesn't. But the way that he's playing is just it's scary to watch right now.
Yeah.
Because he just has that block. It's just a mental block, but I do think it takes one play to change it.
Yeah.
I think it takes one play to change his confidence. I think it takes one play to get him to a point. It's like, oh, I can still do this. Whether that's, you know, a dunk on, you know, Giannis, or if it's, you know, a jump shot to win the game, or, you know, something along those lines. But if he doesn't get that, and if Steve Nash can't figure it out, we might see, I see Ben Simmons as a 36er or something.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, I think you know, Ben Simmons, he's a guy that needs particular care and particular coaching, and I don't know if Steve Nash is that guy.
Yeah.
I mean, I think, you know, obviously Steve Nash was an amazing player, but the game felt like it came naturally to Steve Nash. He was just a natural born leader, floor general out there. So I think maybe the way that he's teaching just isn't resonating with a lot of these players. And Ben Simmons, I think he needs a coach that is going to be maybe a little bit more nurturing. And I hate to use that kind of word, because you should be tough with your players, and you should demand a lot of them. Yeah. But it just seems like he might be a little bit more fragile than most NBA players.
I think he needs to, if he ends up, I think the problem is he's in Brooklyn, and just like Westbrook, it's a magnifying glass. Everyone's looking in. If he went to a smaller market like a Indiana, San Antonio, Utah, like that type of, or even Orlando, something like that. Yeah. I think that would help his confidence a lot, because, you know, he's not going to be on national TV every week. He's not going to be the subject of conversation on your talking heads every morning, things of that nature. So, you know, that has a lot to do with it as well. But yeah, man, I'm more worried about Ben Simmons because more than Westbrook, just because he doesn't have a great track record. He just doesn't have, like, he's been, I think, first team NBA defense. He's had his run, but he just doesn't have like the foundation that Westbrook has. So that's the only part that scares me with Ben Simmons.
Yeah, I mean, he's obviously regressed. Like he came into the league rookie of the year. He was literally like a 16, 8 and 8 guy. Yeah. Finishing at the rim, and it was like, oh my gosh.
And everyone was like, oh my God, if he learns how to shoot 3-pointers, this game over.
Right. And I mean, and I'm still feeling that way. Yeah. But like but he needs the mental component as well. Yeah. That clearly is not there.
And how long can you have that attitude though, too? Like
not very long.
At some point you got to go, you know what? It's not coming.
Yeah.
So, you know, and I know I think this year is going to be a good, you know, testing point. I think if he's still in the NBA next year and he's still playing for Brooklyn, I think next year would be kind of the make or break year. Whereas Westbrook, I think this year's the make or break year.
Right. Right. Well, I mean, I still think that he can be in the NBA for a really long time. I just don't think that he's ever going to be like unless he figures things out. He's just not going to be like your starting point guard, like distributor guy that you're going to rely on. He's going to be a nice, good depth guy. Mm-hmm. But like, I hate saying that because he has so much potential. But we just need to see him figure it out mentally and in the right system to actually thrive. And I wonder if he's in that system. We don't know. So in summation, washed or not washed?
The shower's on.
Okay.
The shower's on, getting warm. He's in his towel, and he just hasn't jumped in yet.
Fair enough.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Right.
But his clothes are off.
Clothes are off.
But yeah, no, I totally get what you mean. Like he's got one foot in the wrong direction where you just want to see a player at that age and at that stage of his career progressing, not regressing.
What is he, like 24 or 25, something like that?
I think he's
26?
Either 25 or 26.
Mid-20s.
Yeah, like basically where people are hitting your prime. It's like, it's like you are hopefully at that point, given you spent 2 years in college, you're probably year 4 or 5, maybe even year 6 if you're a one and done guy. You should be getting your footing in the NBA really easily.
For sure. And I know that we need to be sensitive towards, mental health and all that stuff. I totally understand. But in the NBA, like you heard it the other day, who was it? Someone was talking smack, and was it Lillard? I think it was. He was like, "Have you been in this situation before?"
Yeah.
Who was that? Someone said that to some young guy shooting free throws. And I mean, in the NBA, one comment can also completely break you. And there's a lot of trash talking in the NBA. And if Ben Simmons is on the end of that with everything that's out, ooh, buddy,
that's enough to get in your head. It really is. Trash talking can really affect you if you're somebody that lets you get that under your skin a little bit. That's why I respect, guys like Tim Duncan so much, who, KG would go up against him and try to get under his skin, and he would just brush it off, not a care in the world. And, it takes a different level of mental fortitude to deal with that.
Yep.
But let's end it by talking about the last topic. There was a little bit of unsavory Spurs news. We need to crack open a beer for this bit right here. So Josh Primo, unless you've been living under a rock, you know that Josh Primo was waived by the Spurs, and a lot of the unsavory details came out, and the details are that he was exposing himself in front of women that were working with the Spurs. And so, we're still waiting for more details to come out, but as of right now, I'm a proud Spurs fan, glad that we acted swiftly, but we're still waiting for more details to come out.
Did we act swiftly?
We'll see. That's
another thing. This thing is an iceberg right now.
Well, that's what I'm saying. We need more details. We need more details. So it's as of right now, I'm glad to see that we got rid of him before any details leaked whatsoever.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there needs to be a deeper dive. Who knew? How long did they know? Et cetera, et cetera.
How many? The fact that it's multiple women.
Yeah.
Like it's come out. There's multiple accusations, which is.
Yeah, I find it hard to believe that just literally no one knew outside of those women.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, you just hope that it's not worse than it is, and that's kind of. We got to be sensitive with this conversation because we don't know the details, and it really bums me out. Like it really, really bums me out to the point. Like I was talking to my wife and I was just like, "Hey, like I need to talk to you, and you just need to sit there and just nod your head or something," because I needed to get it out. I was so frustrated because we had so much hope for Josh Primo.
Yeah,
we had the most hope for Josh Primo. He was a long, tall, lengthy point guard, can shoot, he can get to the hole. He was a great defender. With things like this, it's 2022. You got to know better. You got to know better. And I just saw this morning that the attorney for the women who accused Deshaun Watson, he's representing the victims. So
that makes sense.
So with that, I'm very nervous. Obviously, Primo sent out a statement, which he's saying mental health. I hope that's. I mean, obviously, for to be sensitive, like you hope that it's something he's dealing with, and it's not anything worse than that. But with these leaks and the way the Spurs organization is, I'm very nervous about this story.
Right. And I don't want to sound completely insensitive, but I honestly I don't like that he came out with that statement right away.
Yeah.
Because I know that that's what you wanted to do. That seems like a very like legal professional thing to send out, like a very like blanket statement like that, but it almost was seeming like he was putting his hands up and saying, "Oh, it's not my fault," before we even knew the details, and it was like, okay, I would have really believed the mental health and everything like that had RC been like, yeah, he's struggling with stuff. We wish him the best, but there was none of that. It was a really cold statement that RC gave, and in my opinion, that is not Spurs like at all.
No,
and so to just outside looking in, it looked like we were just trying to cut the cancer out. It's just as quickly as possible. So, man, you just hope that higher up people in the organization didn't know, and they were just sweeping it under the rug because he was a good prospect.
Yeah, and how long has this been? How long did it happen?
Yeah,
did it just started happening this year? I mean, we just exercised his third year option. Everyone was really excited about it, and then I think the biggest thing when the Spurs came out was that last line that said, like, the Spurs organization, players, coaches, staff have no more comments about this and won't talk about it. And it's like, that's very Spurs. I get it.
Yeah.
But man, it's not a good look. It's really not a good look. And I'm very nervous about this story and everything that's coming out.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, dude, Spurs never had to deal with something like this before.
No.
The most drama we had was when like Tony was divorcing Eva Longoria. Like, like that's the exciting. Like,
Yeah.
Oh my God, like Tony and Brent Barry's like wife. Like, it was all the cool Cheeseman stuff, but like this is very serious and it's very unfortunate, and it bothers me that he would put himself in that position too. You would think that with an organization like the Spurs, he would have learned a thing or two along the way to not put himself in that position. The statement was very cold. It came out at the end of the day on Friday, which is concerning to me because, just at kind of breaking the fourth wall. Today's Sunday, so we've known about this for 2 days now.
Yeah.
It's very possible tomorrow morning we learn way more about it.
Yeah.
When potentially the police are involved. I don't know, man. I'm really bummed out about it. It bothers me. It really bothers me that someone like Josh Primo, who looks like a babyface assassin, comes out and does this. I'm glad it's not the rumors that were going around Twitter. He was involved in homicide and all that stuff.
Right. I'm glad he's not.
lot.
I'm glad he's not out there killing people. But you can't be exposing yourself to people that don't want to see it. That's just wrong. That's just it's assault.
And I'm pretty sure he had a girlfriend too, or something along those lines.
Right.
So I mean, I hope at the end of the day, I just hope that the story isn't worse than what is starting to leak out.
Yeah.
And I hope Josh gets his he gets help. I hope this is something that happened last week and we nipped in the butt super early.
Yeah.
And I hope it's not something that's been happening for the entire time he's been with the Spurs. But I hope it's also a lesson to all the other young guys and everyone outside of the Spurs organization. Like, you can't do that. Like, you just can't do that. And it's whether you're joking or you're serious about it, it's not cool because it's going to get out. Like, I mean, Deshaun Watson, all that got out. This got out. Like, It's going to happen.
Yep.
Whether you want it or not.
Yeah.
So, it's
just keep it.
It's
in your
not good.
Keep it in your pants unless people are asking to see it.
I
think that's the moral of the Josh Primo story right now.
Yeah.
But ultimately, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with the rest of his life in general.
Yeah, I mean, he's only 19.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see him in a Lakers jersey.
Jesus Christ.
Sorry, I had to say it. I feel like they're gonna do some dumb shit and sign him, even though he's like about to go to trial or some dumb.
Yeah, no,
shit.
I mean that. When I was coming down here, I was like, what happens to his future? Like, who's gonna take a chance? Or I mean, he has so much potential talent to be a great player in this league, but who's gonna want to take the chance on all that baggage? And I don't think California is the place for him.
Yeah,
I think
that's true. No, that's a good point. Yeah,
but like North Carolina.
Yeah, that could be a landing spot for Primo. But at the end of the day, it's all just really unsavory stuff. We never like talking about it, but at the end of the day, you know, it's drama on the Spurs, so we are going to talk about it. But yeah, I feel like that wraps up a pretty good episode.
We should end it with something great.
Yeah, let's end it with something great. I mean,
Manu Ginobili. Thanks, guys. No.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, Manu Ginobili for sure. I mean, I love that. Well, let's end it on a Manu Ginobili.
Sure.
We started the season with Manu Ginobili going into the rafters.
Yeah, with a little Hall of Fame thing under it.
Yep, absolutely. So, Manu Ginobili, you are forever hanging in the rafters of AT&T Center, so you are immortalized in Spurs glory.
And we love Manu very, very much.
Absolutely. I like that positive note right there at the end.
We try our best.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. But yeah, so I feel like that wraps up a good episode of the Baseline Bums podcast. Thank y'all for joining us. It is your host, Rob, a.k.a. B-Ball Archives, and once again, I am joined by my main man, AJ. And we've been sipping some delicious brew, Turning Point Brewery. You son of a bitch, I'm in. It is absolutely delicious. I've been drinking it all episode. So, yeah, go ahead and stop by Turning Point Brewery. And once again, it's always go Spurs, go. That was nice. We did that at the same time. I think that was the first time that ever happened.
That was a heavy segment.
Yeah.